This is a story about my bro and his wife. For the better part of 3 years, they've worked their tails off on their dream home. This video is the first part of that story. I started building a tiny house with my wife when the cost of lumber and hardwood hit its peak in 2021. We wanted to create something unique and beautiful, but with exorbitant prices, we would be forced to choose cheaper materials or find alternative solutions. A local friend and cherry orchard owner let us know he was cutting down part of his orchard and that we were welcome to the wood or he was just going to burn it. These trees had provided tart cherries for local residents for decades, and there was no way we were going to let that legacy go to waste. We compared the cost of buying a sawmill to cut our cherry orchard into floorboards versus buying hardwood floors. Amazingly, it was cheaper to just buy the sawmill. Here is how we created our incredible tiny house floor. We started by cutting slabs at 1 inch thick. Slabs have to be stacked with spacers and allowed to dry. We allowed our floorboards to dry for about 2 years while we worked on the rest of the house. We took each board and cut a straight edge on the table saw. We then ran that semi-straight edge on the joiner, which would create a perfectly straight edge on one side. Now with one square edge, we cut the floorboards to 4 varying widths based on the thickness of each tree. We squared up the ends on the miter saw. By far the most time-consuming part of this entire project was planing the slabs down to their final thickness. Each slab naturally wanted to cup, warp, and crack during the drying process. Planing it down to 1/4 inch removed most of the problems, and most importantly, removed weight, which is essential for a tiny home. The amount of sawdust created was overwhelming. Every part of these cherry trees was used. Slabs were used for the floor, sawdust was used as mulch, and any waste was burned and used to heat the shop. We had so much fun laying the floor, it was satisfying seeing all of our hard work pay off. We used a urethane glue to seal the underside of the wood and prevent warping. Even though the floorboards were planed to a similar thickness, there was still tons of sanding to do. We had to eventually putty all the nail holes, cracks, and knots. We discovered Rubio monocoat, which would preserve our floors and keep the natural look and feel of the cherry wood. The entire process of creating our floors out of a cherry orchard took about 2 years to complete. Was it worth it? We'll let you decide.